Hi, it's Michelle Last here and welcome to my technique class in May. Today we're going to be using the Apothecary art stamps. This is the stamp set and I've already taken out the two stamps that we're going to use in this card. This is the first card I'm going to show you how to make. It has a fancy fold and I'm going to talk you through how I did that. But in your pack you will already have the cardstock cut and scored with the die cut in it for you, just in case you didn't own the label framelit dies. So it's got the panel on the front and then the smaller panel stuck on the inside for you to write your greeting with some pattern paper on the back. The label framelit dies are this shape and these coordinate with the stamps. So I'm going to talk you through how I did it. And basically what you're going to start off with is a standard piece of basic grey A5 cardstock. You're going to score it down the middle to create your standard card blank. Okay. Then what you're going to do is score the front panel halfway along the long edge so that actually creates a fold like that in your cardstock, and I'm going to show you how we cut this part now. So what you would normally do is if this is your big shot and this is your cardstock, you would lay your die down, you would lay the clear plate over the top and run it through your big shot and it would cut that entire shape out. Now if I just try and show you clearly, this is the score line on the front piece, the halfway score line. Get your 2 points nestled on the score line perfectly, using your magnetic plate to hold it in place. If not, use post-it notes. And if we only position the top clear plate to only cover this part of the die, this is the only section it's going to cut. This side it will not cut because there is no pressure. You can run that through the big shot and I'll show you how I do that. So push it through, start feeding it through, and it's only going to cut here but not here. So we're going to run that through, pop it through the other side, and what you'll have is, I'm going to pop that off, you've just got the cutout here so that when you fold that back over, that's your card front and your card base. It doesn't matter, you could cut this half if you wish and not this half and you'd have a slightly different fold. You could fold it that way or this way. So this is a great technique for any of the dies that you've got that are symmetrical, which means the same to both sides. So you could do this for circles, you could do this for the floral framelits, would work brilliantly, and do exactly the same technique. But that's going to be your card base, so I just wanted to share with you how I did that. Okay, so just move my big shot out of the way. And now I'm going to show you how to make the other parts of the card. Now inside your pack you will have a piece of patterned paper. Now most people, I don't know what your glue of choice is, but what I want you to do is to stick this in place so it's up to the edge. Now when I did mine on my sample one, I found I had a little tiny line here where there was a bit of grey card exposed. That's fine, just stick your pattern paper down and then take this to your trimmer and cut this whole little slither off the length here. It won't make any difference. So a little tip when sticking that down, if you're going to use double-sided tape, you try and do that, you will find it is not forgiving at all if you stick it in the wrong place. So if you're going to use double-sided tape all the way around here and then put the Anyway glue stick or Pritt stick over the top, which will give the glue some movability, if that's the right word, which means you can lift it and replace it until the Pritt stick has dried. Alternatively, just use Pritt stick, that would work absolutely fine. Paper to paper or card to card is fine with the Anyway glue stick. So you're going to stick that on the inside, that's fairly simple. You're then going to put some glue on this section here, but this section only, don't put any glue on here, and then seal that closed like that, which is going to leave you with this. Then what you're going to do is you're going to stamp this stamp on Whisper White cardstock. Now we're going to be colouring using markers, so there is no moisture. We're not using blender pens or aqua painters which have some kind of moisture in them. So the fact is, it doesn't matter what colour, what type of ink we stamp the image in. The minute you're going to add moisture, aqua painters, blender pens, then you want to make sure you use stays on. So I've used basic grey on this. So I've stamped this image on Whisper White, and you've got a sheet in your pack. Stamp the image, and then I'd recommend you probably colour it in first before you die cut it, because you could die cut it and then find that you don't like the way you've coloured it in which case you've wasted a step. So Leave it like that, use the other side if you don't like it. So I'm just going to talk you through briefly, I've started to colour it in, I'm going to talk you through briefly how I've coloured it in. I'm going to zoom in if I can, just to show you. So whatever colour you choose to colour this in, and I've done them in certain colours but you can choose whatever you wish, you want 3 tones of the same colour. So I've got So Saffron, I've got Daffodil Delight, and then I have Crushed Curry. So I have 3 tones of yellow. So start with your lightest one, you go for the thick tip, so go for the thick line on your pen, not the thin line, and all you're going to do is find the flowers and just colour the outer edge of the petals. Now I'm not being precise or taking too long over this. Don't use your markers with the nib facing flattening it. So I tend to use my markers on the side, but if I could just find the flowers and colour the you could colour the whole flower in if you wish. I'm just being super speedy and just colouring the outside, and I'm then going to make it darker the closer to the centre of the flower. So that was the So Saffron. I'm now going to pick up the Daffodil Delight, which is a slightly darker hue, and I'm going to colour in just the midsection, just so that it's darker in the middle of my flower. Okay. Now I briefly did this in class, which is why I have some that are partly done. If you're not sure what's a flower and what's a leaf, a good tip is to actually look at the stamp. It's clearer on the stamp, or look on the stamp case cover, the image on there, because it's really clear on there too. So then this is the last one, the Crushed Curry, thick tip, and all I'm doing now is really going in and adding the dark shade in the centre. If you don't, if you want it to be subtle in the middle and not too dark, you could just go over it with the last colour. So 2 layers of Daffodil Delight will be brighter and stronger than just 1 layer of Daffodil Delight. So you're going to colour that in. I then used Pear Pizzazz and Old Olive markers to colour in the leaves. I'm not quite sure where my Pear Pizzazz has gone. Let me just see if I can get my hands on it quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to have to just... Oh, I think I've got it. Pear Pizzazz, okay. So then with my Pear Pizzazz, I'm just going to colour in the leaves. I use the thick tip again. I know it's only small detail, but I find it easier. I'm just spotting all these flowers I haven't coloured in, but I'm not going to worry because I'm only showing you how to do it. You take as long as you need. Really doesn't take long. And then I'm going to use the thin tip of the marker, and I'm going to go over these little fronds. Just helps to make them stand out a bit more. And they're a nice detail, so it's nice to make them stand out. And if you want to make your leaves stand out just a little bit more, an Old Olive marker, the thin tip, just to go on the spines, highlight some of the leaves. You could even highlight some of the fronds if you want to. Just make it your own and colour it in so that you're happy. And then what you're going to do is you're actually going to stick pearls over the centre of your flowers. If you were to look at that and think that's a bit messy, actually by the time you've stuck the pearls on, it looks absolutely fine. Now you've got the Happiest Birthday stamp inside your Apothecary art stamp set, so I would recommend you use a Stamp-A-Majig, and you use the Stamp-A-Majig in the same colour ink, so basic grey ink, to position that perfectly centrally in the Apothecary art stamp. Okay, so you're going to position the Happy Birthday, get that stamped in there, and then you're going to get the label framelit and you're going to take it to your magnetic platform and just cut around it. Okay, so once you've cut that out and you're happy, you're going to end up with this, which will nest perfectly exactly the same size as the cutout you've already done. So pop that in there like that, and that's the front of your card completed. The inner part of your card, I have already cut that for you. I think I've already cut it on the ones that I'm posting. I've done that intentionally in case you don't own the frameless. It means you're going to have to use the Stamp-A-Majig to get that image onto that bit of card. And if you've got the frameless at home, then by all means stamp it on another bit of card and cut around it. So just a little tip, you need to also colour this in. So you need to colour in with the yellow and the greens on the inside, stamp it in basic grey, and then what you're going to do, how you're going to stick it down, is this is your, imagine that you're stamped and inked on here. You're going to lay that, no, that's stamped and inked face down, glue this side. You're going to line up the top and bottom on the score line, even gap all the way around, okay? And then you're going to leave that there and flip that over. Press it down, and then when you open it up, that will have stuck in exactly the centre of this piece, okay? And a little pearl in there too. And that's that card. It's super simple, and the colouring technique I've just shown you is the same colouring technique we're going to use on all of the cards. So you get this card done in a snap, and what I'd recommend is, if you've got the dies and cardstock and the labels, framelets, that you just knock out 3 or 4 of these, because they're really quite effective and very quick to make. So that's how you create that card. Thanks for joining me.